Our Wild Hearts is a 2013 film directed by Ricky Schroder, written by Ricky Schroder and Andrea Schroder, and it stars Cambrie Schroder as Willow. And it's not a great film, largely because Willow is an exceptionally annoying protagonist, and it's very, very unrealistic, and it doesn't really have that much to offer. But it is watchable. It's not necessarily enjoyable, but if you're looking for something put on in the background, something that's it's not offensive, it's not doing anything wrong as such, it's just not a decent narrative because not a lot happens and Willow is exceptionally irritating. And as I said, it is very unrealistic to begin with because Willow, who lives in Malibu, finds out eventually she's a teenager and she finally finds out who her father is. So 3 days later, she goes to visit her father. And she turns up on the doorstep and says, "I'm your daughter." And he opens the door and it's like, well, it's not quite like they've known each other forever, but certainly there's not that awkwardness that would absolutely be there when you meet somebody for the first time after not knowing about their existence. So it's very, very unrealistic. But if you can look past that, there are no other real problems with the narrative other than Willow's personality. She is very much used to getting her own way. She definitely lives the high life. And I guess what I do like is that even though she lives this high life and gets everything that she wants, she didn't have a father. And she was missing the father figure in her life. And I like the fact that the film highlights that even though she had all of that, she was missing this one key aspect that she really wanted. And when she's spending time with her father, she now has that. And life is very different and she can't get her own way, but also she does because she just does things anyway, even when she's told no, and it's so infuriating and I just didn't like her. Yes, she goes on a bit of character development, but not enough for my liking, not enough at all. So I didn't like her as a person, and she rides horses a lot, some really beautiful horses. I'll talk about them in a moment, but on multiple occasions I kept wishing that she would just be flung off of the horse and taught a lesson for doing things that she was told she shouldn't do. So I really disliked her. Nothing against the performance. Nobody's performances were bad at all. But it's a very unrealistic narrative with a very unlikable protagonist. But as I said, beyond that initial unbelievable beginning with Willow turning up at her father's doorstep 3 days after finding out about him, beyond that, the narrative is straightforward. I believe everything that happened, and it's not interesting, but it's not problematic either, which is why it's not too bad for something to put on in the background. And then there are the horses. There are so many horses in this, and they are so, so beautiful. So if you do like horses, that bit will definitely appeal. They are absolutely stunning. So if you like horse-based films, then yeah, it might work. If you're looking for a film with likeable characters, well, most of the characters are likeable, or they're relatively well written, but Willow isn't. And she's kind of in that middle because she doesn't come across as obnoxious and bratty. She just comes across as entitled. And there were times when her father would explain that this is just how we do things, this is the way we treat the horses, this is what we do. And Willow was one step away from having a tantrum and saying, "No, you will do things my way. I think you should treat the horses this way." And she was very entitled. And as I said, yes, she does have some development, but not enough. So that's frustrating. It's an unrealistic narrative and not a lot happens. But if you like horses or you're looking for a film to put in the background, then I'd say Our Wild Hearts might be okay. It's not brilliant. There's significant room for improvement, but I've seen significantly worse films. Once you get over the initial "it's been 3 days since you found out about him" issue, after that, it is free from problem in terms of the writing of the narrative and the structure and the pacing. The pacing's absolutely fine. So it's not great, but after the first hurdle, it's not terrible either. It just doesn't have a lot to offer.